Alright, we're in book 1 of the Aeneid. We're going to start in about line 5, 11, 12, 13. It's right after Aeneas has come into this temple of Carthage and has seen his 3 friends, Ontour, Sergestus, and Cloanthus. And those are the missing Trojans that he was looking for earlier. And remember that Aeneas is with Achates, his other Trojan friend, one that he has not lost. So then we'll start in 5:13. Okay. Obstipuit simul ipsa simul percussus Achates laetitiaque metuque. There is a typo there. The perculsus should be percussus. The L should be an S. If you ever think there's a typo, I always double check with the book. Remember, I just take this straight off of the Latin library. Perculsus is an acceptable alternate spelling, but we'll just go with what the book says for the spellings. So here we have 2 similes that the book tells us are like an et and an et. Simul means at the same time. So at the same time one person, at the same time another person. So it's the same. Both this guy and that guy. These people are doing things at the same time. And those people are ipse, and then we have Achates. So ipse refers back to Aeneas, both that guy himself, Aeneas, and Achates, obstipuit, which is in your book. It's another word for to stand agape. So we just had one earlier in, I don't know what line it was, where Aeneas saw the frieze. It was right after the frieze part, and he was standing agape, struck, fixed, with his eyes on one gaze. So again, he saw the frieze, he was surprised. Now he sees his friends, who he had wrote off as, lost forever. So at the same time, they stand agape. And you'll notice here, obstipuit is singular. It's that thing that we're talking about attraction. So even though really they're talking about 2 different people, it's attracted to being singular because it's kind of closer to ipse. This might also affect things like the scansion and stuff like that. So you would say at the same time, or both of them, they stand agape, but literally the Latin is singular. And then percussus is the only thing we have left, and percussus is like defixos from earlier, struck, like percussion. And it's things that you beat on. So astounded or struck. And with this perfect passive participle, we're going to take these 2 ablatives on the next line, laetitiaque, metuque. So they stand agape, struck with happiness. I think it's more common to see the word happy, laetus, but laetitia is just the noun happiness. Joy, gladness, delight, the book says. With joy, and with metu, with fear or anxiety. So they're happy to see them, and they're also afraid, they don't know why they're there or what's going to happen to their friends. Their friends are in, not really enemy territory, but unknown territory. So who knows what's going to happen to them. Spoiler alert, they'll be fine. Audi conjugere dextras ardebant. There we go. Okay. Alwidi refers back to Aeneas and Achates. So here we do have a plural. Percussus was singular and obstipuit was singular, but now we're changing to the plural. Alwidi refers to them. We have eager. Conjugere is obviously an infinitive. Dextros means right hands, and it's accusative, os. And then ardebant is what they were doing. It's like they were burning to do something. Like when you feel like you really want to do something, it's like it's burning inside you. So with the alwidi, we can either say eager, they were burning to join right hands, or like to hold their right hands, to take their right hands. Um, or you can translate it like an adverb, because this is something we often do in Latin. Latin has a lot of these kind of adjectives in the nominative. We saw one back with Dido where it said that she happy did something, and sometimes we'll use happily. So you could even say eagerly they burned to join right hands. Coniungo is like conjoined twins, or twins that are joined together. So coniungere, join. It's hard to see that, but it's there, I promise. Or conjunction, are where things join up together. Okay. So remember, through this whole thing, Aeneas and Achates are hidden in a cloud. Sed res animos incognita turbat. Res and incognita go together. Res is feminine. Although remember that it's actually fifth declension, which is rare. There are few words. There's really 2 words you need to know in the fifth declension. Res is definitely one of them. Let me get the piece of paper out. Res and dies are really the 2 words that occur with any sort of regularity in the fifth declension. So what I did when I was learning Latin, instead of learning the endings, I just memorized the declension just with res. So it goes res, rei, rem, re, res, rerum. This is like your aurum, aurum. Here it's arum. Res, rerum, rebus, which is like your ibus. Rebus, res, rebus. Res, rei, rem, re. Res, rerum, rebus, res, rebus. I just chanted it over and over again until I learned it. I don't think I learned it until I was in college. There's no real need for it. So res is feminine, and so this would just be dies, dae, dae, dam, da. Alright. Okay, but the unknown res, it's good to try not to translate it as thing, and just like you would never want to use that in an English essay, it's just not specific enough. So some things are business, affair, situation. If there's something specific that's being alluded to, or that's been mentioned before, you can even use specific nouns, like the building, or the person, or the plan. So you're going to say like the unknown situation, because they're talking about the situation with his friend. Turbat animos. We've seen turbat a lot, I feel. Turbo, turbere, right? Disturb, perturb. If you feel perturbed in English, you're kind of upset. It confuses their animos, their minds. Okay. Dissimulant et nube cava speculantur amicti. Dissimulant is just, right, they hide. And so here, nube and cava are both ablative. That's a long A on cava. Yeah. Speculantur is our verb. It's deponent, so it looks passive with the intor, but we're just going to say they verb. And then amicti is an adjective. It's a fourth principal part, a perfect past participle, that describes Aeneas and Achates, whose name I had trouble spelling on my sheet. Achates. So you can start with like amicti, and wrapped up or enfolded, and then how are they wrapped up or unfolded? Nube cava, in a hollow cloud. Speculantur. This is where we get like speculation. It's like all the words that are kind of spec words that have to do with be like spectat, spectator, a spectator. So just they look out. They kind of, the book says they spy out. So wrapped up, they look out. Okay, and then we have a series of indirect questions, and so they're looking out of their cloud, and they're sort of wondering, quae fortuna viris classum quo litore linquant quid veniant. So the quae, the quo, and the quid help you see that this is a list of question words. There's not really something that introduces this kind of phrase, really. We kind of have to supply something like they wonder, right? So they're looking out, they watch. The book mentions that we should probably put a sit in here. Sit is the subjunctive of est. So it's subjunctive because it's in an indirect question. So what, like, fortune, what luck there is or was, viris, for the men. And this is a dative of possession, which is one thing that the dative does. It's the way it's used is with the word est. So you say maritus est mihi. Right, there is a husband for me, which means I have a husband, right? And a common one is mihi nomen est, which we often say in English, the name for me is, but really it just means my name is. So mihi here is dative, as mihi always is, and it's called the dative of possession, and it's always with the word est. So there is a husband for me would be I have a husband. So you can say, like, what fortune the men had, even for this dative of possession, which is why they know, to supply the sit as our subjunctive of est. Classum quo litore linquant, the book suggests we put an in, and for the quo to tell us that it's ablative place where. So sort of on what litore, which is a word we've seen a lot, on what shore. Get this straight. Okay. On what shore? Linquant, and then classum goes in that relative, or not as a relative, in that indirect question. So on what shore? And remember, a classum is a group of things. Here it's a fleet, like a group of ships. And then linquant is related to the word relinquant, which we see more often, I feel, like relinquo, relinquere, which means to leave behind. So relinquo is to leave something behind. Linquo is just to leave, basically. So on what shore they left the fleet. Quid veniant. And the book suggests instead of quid we use cur, why. And then veniant is just venio, venire, why they're coming, right? And understood like to dido. So they're watching out from their cloud. What fortune there is for these men, on what shore they leave the fleet, or they've left the fleet, and why they are coming. So they're hoping to learn all these things about the men, and they're going to stay hidden and kind of spy on them for a while. For a few lines. Cunctis nam lecti navibus ibant, orantes veniam et templum clamore petebant. So we start with our nam. Remember, nam's always the second word, because it's shy. It's called post-positive. There's a number of words like egator, nm, nam. They won't be the first word in a sentence ever. They're always the second word, no matter what. They're called post-positives. So for cunctis and navibus go together. It's our is-ibus pairing that we love so much. Lecti is the nominative. It's really a fourth principal part. So lego, legere means to choose. So these are like the chosen ones, the elected ones. So elect comes from like to choose someone out of a group. It's the e. And then ebant's our verb, imperfect. For the chosen or the elected, we're going from all the ships, or even the chosen from all the ships we're going. We just mean like elected representatives are leading the ships and going to Dido, see Dido, surrounded by arms. Orontes veniam. So orontes, so that's nt, that's a present participle. And it refers back, it's the same sort of subject as lecti, chosen people, chosen men, chosen ones, and here we go, begging, right, pleading, praying for. The book says beseeching, which I love the word beseeching, or entreating. Oro, orare, it's just a basic word of speaking, really, to pray, to speak, to beg, to ask for. It's related, we've seen the word like os oris. Usually we see it related to rivers, right, the mouth of a river. So from the oris part, we get things like oral, like an oral report. So orontes has to do with that. Like, and it's also related to the word oracle. An oracle is the person who tells the future, but also the future that they tell is an oracle. So if an oracle gives an oracle, like she gives a fortune. So it's that I like speaking. An oracle is a mouthpiece of the gods to tell you. Okay, enough about that word. So beseeching, entreating, venia, which is favor. They're looking for favor. Praying for favor, or grace, or pardon. Not pardon, I don't think that works with the context here, because obviously they've done nothing wrong, but they're looking for help. So however you want to word that. Et templum clamore petebant, and they were seeking the temple sort of with shouting, or in the midst of shouting, kind of. This is the manner in which they're going. They're very raucous. So we have our two verbs here at the end of the sentence. And then the orontes it's a participle, but it's kind of verby. So begging, looking for, seeking, praying, etc. Okay, so for homework, remember what I would like for you guys to do is prepare lines 520 to 529, which I don't have on the next page. So make sure you look in your book and you get all of the notes down. The book also, remember, will give you the best definitions because it'll give you the ones specifically suited for whatever situation is going on. And look for things like words that go together, so nouns and adjectives that have similar endings, either the same endings or similar endings, like is and ibus go together, or am and that sort of thing. See if you can identify verbs and subjects, prepositional phrases, that kind of thing, and get the bare bones structure down. A good thing to do too is, read over the translation so you can get a good idea of what's going on even before you start, worrying about the Latin. These guys are gonna ask Dido for assistance, and they're gonna kind of tell a little summary of their story, and that Aeneas is their king, and they're lost, and hopefully they'll get help from Dido. All right.